How long ago did you start this project, and has the solar cell technology changed since the time you undertook the project, and if so, how?
Just after Picard finished his around the world balloon trip, he had the idea of doing around the world with no fuel. And that concept was formed just around the millennium, and then people started working on it. The first plane was built in around 2012, the prototype plane for this one, the SI-1. This plane was built during 2014 and flew in 2015. So that means that the whole project is about 13 years from first draft to actual concept to actual plane. The solar cells themselves are specially built for us. But they are specially built because we need rather specific things. We need them very light, we need them very endurable, and to get those two things we needed to ditch the efficiency factor a little bit.
So your efficiency is?
Our efficiency is 23%, which is just about normal house, the thing you can buy at the market.
Yes.
But they are far more endurable, and they are very light and very thin, because our solar cells literally form the top part of the wing. There is not an underlying structure to actually form the wing. The solar cells are the wing, which means that we had these special requirements that normal solar cells do not need.
And how many are there, do you know?
17,232. Exactly, or just 17,000.
So 17,000 connections need to be made.
Yes, but we have them, we basically have them in two kinds of packages. We have what we call the solar strip that goes across half the wing. And that's basically so they can optimize solar input, because the sun comes over and we say, okay, this strip is now receiving most energy in that strip. But if it happens, and happened in Burma, Myanmar, where we, because it was a very short stop there, there was I think a screw fell on one of the panels, and we just shut off the entire strip.
Wow,
just
one
length of it. But if we have time to do it properly, we can also just shut down the what we call a subsector.
A subsection,
which is only about 8 panels, which is a much smaller, more manageable thing.
So do you don't need, this is so the motors are driven off of DC.
Yes.
Okay. When you built these solar cells, was there any carryover to the commercial area, or any consequences
Very
as a
much.
result?
I'm not entirely sure how the solar cells themselves how the development of these particular solar cells affected the normal commercial solar cells, but our partners Solvay and our partners Covestra, which are the main material scientists behind this, most of what goes into the plane went into the plane, almost immediately made it into the market space. So we have isolating foam that is now being used in refrigerators. We now have all sorts of new developments that was introduced due to our requirements that made themselves available to the open market.
So during the trip, you didn't have a necessity to replace any of the strips or the cells?
We can't.
You cannot?
We cannot. The wing is the solar cells, and the solar cells are the wing. If we want to replace the solar cells, we literally just have to tear apart the entire wings.
Wow.
Exactly, which
That's
is why we
incredible.
have a shut-off system. The motors generate around 60 horsepower.
60 horsepower,
yes.
okay.
And we can put that in there and have extra for charging the batteries easily during the climb.
Okay.
So we I think it's about 80 to 20% during normal charging periods. So 80% to the motors, 20% to the batteries.
So these solar cells have lasted a total of 3 years?
Well, yes, since building.
And still going. Okay, all right. No, that's
we
terrific.
have, there are a few sections here or there that have been damaged. That's what happened in Burma.
Yes.
But we have well over 90% of them left.
And how much weight?
Condition.
How much weight are you carrying overall on the plane?
The total weight of the plane is 2.3 tons.
2.3 tons.
Yes.
Okay. With regards to the endurance, how do the pilots prepare themselves for a 5-day with a 20-minute period of...
That's, we won't call it a weak spot because it's necessary, but that's the limiting factor of the plane's endurance. That's the pilot's endurance. And due to the way the system works, we can only afford him 20 minutes of rest every 4 hours or so.
20 minutes every
Yes.
4 hours,
Yes.
okay.
Which is a challenge. It needs to be mentally prepared.
I couldn't do it, yeah.
Exactly. And we were a bit worried when we made the big journey from Japan to Hawaii. And there were worries, do we need a wheelchair to get him out of the plane or
Yeah,
something?
like the guys coming back from space.
But
yeah.
it turns out that the cockpit is big enough for him to stretch, and he did yoga and exercises like that. And he was actually perfectly fine when he arrived. He managed to, he was lively when he finally arrived. It was kind of surprising, but showed that our calculations for endurance and the preparations that he's doing, as I said, healthy exercise, and he's doing a lot of yoga because there's not enough room to do proper
calisthenics.
Yes, calisthenics in the cockpit, but the system works apparently, which is very promising.
So the limiting factor in terms of going with one pilot versus two pilots, what was the limiting factor in regards to that?
Well, the problem is always the weight. The plane is, as I said, 2.3 tons. About 30% of that is batteries.
Okay.
About 500 kilograms of that, 400 or 500 kilograms of that is the cockpit, with the pilot and everything.
Wow, yeah.
Exactly. And the problem with adding a second pilot is then you would need a second chair, and then you would need a second oxygen system, and a second food, and a second everything, and all of a sudden these 500 pounds are looking at
Really
800
gross.
pounds.
Yeah.
Or even more than that. So the plane just we didn't have the lift capacity for that. We wanted to do it properly.
So in regards to the next level, is it another 5-day flight?
It depends a bit on how we do it. We have 8 oxygen bottles on board the plane, and it's approximately 1 bottle per day.
Okay.
We want to have 1 bottle for safety, so we're looking at maximum of 7 days. The journey here was just over 5 days, and this was a bit longer journey than the next step. From Hawaii to the mainland, we are approximating it for 4 days.
4 days.
Yes.
And that's to Phoenix.
That's to Phoenix, yes.
Okay, then Phoenix goes to DC or New York?
We're going to end up in New York, but there may be a stop in between. That's unclear.
Okay, and then cross the Atlantic?
Then cross the Atlantic to either Spain or Morocco, which is pretty much just a straight line.
Yes.
And then we have to go back to Abu Dhabi. And I'm not entirely sure what path they're going to take through that region because it's a bit
okay. All right. Well, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present. Your name?
Daniel.
Daniel. My name's Leo. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And I would encourage you to check